Hey, good morning. It's Mark here with another morning rant. It's 5:30. I've been up since 4:30. Let's get into the news. So, hold on. Yeah. So, Robert Reich, he does a podcast, or he does a show on YouTube. Robert Reich is I think I'm saying his last name right. He's the former Secretary of Labor under President Bill Clinton, and he has a 5-minute video that I want you guys to take a look at, because it's going to explain trickle down economics and why it does not work. And like I said, some of the stuff he says in here, I've already said. But this guy, Harvard grad, is he a Rhodes Scholar also? I know Bill Clinton is a Rhodes Scholar. Rachel Maddow is a Rhodes Scholar. Like, these people are like nerds. Yeah, Rhodes Scholar. He went to Dartmouth College. I think that's where he met Bill Clinton, in University College at Oxford. And he has a JD from Yale University. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get into his video real quick.
To the extent the Republican Party has any economic platform at all, it's trickle-down economics. Now, unfortunately for the GOP, it's based on 3 giant myths. It's time to debunk them once and for all.
I want you to take a look at this. Yeah, I want you to take a look at that. Look at what he's doing. That's good, because he's saying that trickle down economics is if you give money and you deregulate for the rich, their cup will overflow. And it will trickle down to everybody else. But if you look at the way he's doing it, the cup that they have is growing, which means they don't trickle down, they just get richer. And the richer they get, the more they want, and the bottom gets nothing. This is a good play here.
Tax cuts for corporations and the rich create more and better jobs. Wrong. Corporations used Trump's giant tax cut to buy back shares of their own stock
And I said
boost
that
share prices from
they
2017 to 2018.
I told you that's what they said. They told him. They didn't tell Trump. I think they told one of his economic advisors. They told him, if you give us this tax break, we are going to buy back stock and pay down our debts. They told him that, and that's what they did.
18, stock buybacks increased by a staggering 50%. Lowe's spent $10 billion on stock buybacks in 2018 and then fired thousands of workers with no notice or severance. Walmart and AT&T also laid off thousands of workers. And contrary to the claim that the tax cut would boost wages,
they saved money.
A $4,000 pay raise.
A recent analysis found that in the year after the Trump tax cut, wages increased by about the same as they did before it, and then slowed. Tax cuts for rich individuals don't trickle down either. The rich simply get richer. 2 years before Ronald Reagan's first tax cut, the richest 1% of Americans owned less than 23% of the nation's wealth. A decade later, after 2 rounds of tax cuts for the rich, they owned over 28%.
They bought more stock.
By 2019, after more tax cuts for the rich by George W. Bush and Donald Trump, people at the top owned almost 35% of America's wealth. Meanwhile, average wealth barely budged for the middle class and went negative for the bottom 10%.
And in that same time frame, minimum wage stayed the same. Minimum wage did not increase. And when it did, it did not increase with It did not increase with inflation. It did not go up as prices went up. Let's say the cost of bread went up by $1. If the cost of bread went up by $1, then your minimum wage went up by a dime or 15 cents an hour. So even though you may have gotten an increase, it was only 50 cents. But your bread cost $1 more. Your cereal cost $1 more.
It gets worse. During the pandemic alone, America's 664 billionaires added $1.3 trillion to their collective wealth and now own over $4 trillion. That's almost double the wealth of the bottom half.
Hold on, let me go back because I don't like. When no one was spending money or barely spending money, and if they were spending money, they were spending it online. These guys, I'm not calling these guys out because look, let me just say this. I am okay with capitalism to a degree. Jeff Bezos sold books out of his garage. He turned a book-selling empire, or he turned a book-selling website into Amazon. That's initiative, that's ingenuity, that's entrepreneurship. Anybody would love to be in his shoes right now. Any small business owner wants to do what he did. Mark Zuckerberg took a small website on a Harvard campus. And the reason why they call Facebook is because what Facebook used to be was a rating system for females and males on campus. Like you would look at the face and you would rate the face. He took that idea and turned it into what Facebook is today. This Tesla guy, I don't know how the hell he got Tesla as to be as good as it is, but he's doing electric cars and he's doing other not inventions, but he's doing other initiatives that got him a lot of money. So that's what you can take something and build it to something. I'm all for that. But the politicians and the presidents, they look at this and say, okay, well, especially GOP, if we give these people more money, they'll invest in their companies in terms of paying their workers more, which will make people want to work because they're getting paid a lot of money. And that's not true, because what these guys are going to do is I said this and I say it again, they're going to look at their stock and they're going to buy back stock. They're going to take stock off the market. Taking stock off the market increases its value because there's less out there to have. And in 1 year, $4.3 trillion, 165 million Americans, to include people like Oprah and Michael Jordan and name all the other billionaires. 165 million people do not own as much as they own. They own 2 times as much as 165 million people.
The bottom half, 165 million Americans. But nothing has trickled down. Even before the pandemic, wages stagnated.
And this is what I'm talking about here. Look at here from 1980, or like roughly 78, and look at it now. And this is right here. Right up in here is where I come in at. If you look at what my mouse said, right by the L and the Y in hourly, I come in about right here. So, because I was working with my uncle at the age of 8. I got my first job at, well, if you want to call working at the Explorer Museum a job, then yeah, I got that when I was like 14, 15. But I got my first paycheck job at 16, working at Dale Shamps. And minimum wage had just went up from $3.75 to $4.15. No, I'm sorry. It was $3.75 before. And it went to $4.75. And then when I started working, it was $5.15. I was making $4.75, either $3.75 or $4.75 for about 3 months. And then I went up to $5.15. By the time I left that job, because I left that job, went to another job, and I went to another job. By the time I stopped working, I was making $7.10 an hour in about 1998, 99, 2000. Because I started working at Dale Shamps. I went to McDonald's. I worked at West Communications. I went to Food World. And when I left Food World, I was making $7.10 an hour, not because of the increases I was getting. Well, it was because of the increase I was getting, but it was because of my experience working in produce. So I was making $7.10 an hour in 1999, early 2000. $7.10 an hour. Right now, I don't know what minimum wage is. What is minimum wage right now? Minimum wage. Look at this shit. Minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. And I was making $7.10 in 1999, early 2000. And $7.10 an hour was not minimum wage when I was working. Let's see. Minimum wage, 1999. What was it? Look at that. Minimum wage was $5.15. Minimum wage was $5.15 in 1999. $5.15. And like I said, I was making $7.10 because of my experience. And now, and look at this. Even though productivity has increased, wages have stayed the same. Companies know that they can get more production out of you and pay you less because you want to work. Because you need the job to pay your bills. I told you, I've said before, if companies can charge you nothing, they would. Their job is keeping their expenses as low as possible while increasing their productivity. That's what they want. If they can, and like I said before, this country has not gotten over slave labor. They want to pay you as less as possible. That's capitalism in its purest form, to increase their profits and decrease the money that they send out.
Tax cuts for corporations and the rich spur more economic growth. Baloney. Not even Ronald Reagan's surging economic growth rate was driven by tax cuts. It was driven by low interest rates and humongous government spending. George W. Bush promised his 2001 and 2003 tax cuts would pay for themselves. Remember that? By spurring economic growth. Well, that didn't happen. A 2017 study led by one of Bush's former chief economists found that the tax cuts had no significant effect on growth. In fact, growth declined, slowing to just 2.8% from over 3% during the Clinton years. The economic expansion under Bush was one of the weakest expansions since World War II. Donald Trump claimed his tax cut would be like rocket fuel for the economy and would spur annual growth of 3%. After its first year, in fact, growth declined.
Like I said before, it was a sugar high. It was a sugar high. It went up and then it went down. It was a sugar high.
Finally, a recent study analyzing tax data spanning 50 years from 18 advanced economies found that tax cuts for the rich only benefited the rich and had no effect on job creation or economic growth. I, for one, am shocked. Deregulation spurs economic growth.
Listen to
Well,
this.
that's just more rubbish. The cost savings from deregulation go to corporate executives and major investors, while the costs and risks land on the rest of us. Trump's Environmental Protection Agency rolled back regulations on everything from clean air and water standards to dangerous chemicals and products, benefiting chemical and fossil fuel executives and investors while forcing everyone else to deal with polluted air and toxins. His Labor Department loosened child labor laws and scaled back the number of workers eligible.
Again. They loosened child labor laws. They scaled back environmental regulations. Why? Because scaling back regulations and loosening child labor laws help them make more money. That's why they do what they do. That's why this capitalist society is the way it is. They would charge you, they would pay you absolutely nothing if they wanted to, in order to keep their profits. Go back to Andrew Carnegie and Henry Ford and the Rockefellers.
For overtime pay, companies raked in savings while workers were exploited. And with the help of Congress, he rolled back banking regulations put in place after the 2008 financial crisis to the benefit of rich Wall Streeters and the detriment of everyone else. Don't forget, Ronald Reagan's deregulatory agenda allowed for-profit healthcare companies to flourish, contributing to the out-of-control healthcare costs we are now saddled with today. And remember, deregulation of the financial sector was a major cause of the 2008 crash, as it allowed banks to make risky bets.
Oh, I hate doing that. Risky bets with your money. Risky bets with your money. When they deregulated, the economy expanded, right? It was great. People were making money. Stock market was making money. Everybody was getting paid. It was great. Military spending under the Bush years, military spending went up and up and up. Everybody, and I was one of them. We would buy the Marine Corps Times around December. No, as a matter of fact, we would start buying that sucker between September of the last year till like January of the next year, because in September is the end of the fiscal year, and October starts the new fiscal year. We were waiting to see what our increase was going to be. Was it going to be 2%, 3%, 4%? You know, if it was going to be 1%. And come January, we'll know, hey, this is what your paycheck is going to show. They will have a chart for your rank and your time in service, and it will show you what your increase is going to be. So if the Congress voted on a 2.75% pay increase for the military, it'll have that chart. So if I made $800 1 month, $800 for the month, I'm going to get a 2.75 increase, and it's going to be this amount for the next month. And I remember one time getting that paper, getting the Marine Corps Times, and it said that I was going to get $100 extra in my paycheck. And it's like, oh, great, I'm getting $100 extra. No, I'm not getting $100 extra. I'll be lucky if I get 60. I'll be lucky if I get 60. Because taxes are going to take 40. And sure as shit, taxes took $40 of that 100. So, yeah, there's only like 50 seconds left, and he's just wrapping up. But trickle-down economics does not work. Deregulation does not work. Oh, well, let me rephrase that. It works. It works. It works for the rich. It makes them richer. Deregulating makes them richer. Having these regulations in place makes the playing ground fair for everybody, and that's the end game, to make it all fair. To tell rich people that you can't just keep going to buy stocks and stocks and stocks, and like dividends and interest on your stocks and earnings on your stocks. You have to pay taxes on that. But they don't consider that earned income. The law don't consider that earned income. So I can go out and sell my car, but I got to pay for that because that's earned income. But a guy that's getting capital gains, that's not earned income for him. So he gets to just throw all his money in the stock market and just get millions and millions and millions. Trickle-down economics does not work. We tried it under Reagan. It did not work. I've said this. I keep saying it. We tried it under Reagan. It did not work. He increased taxes so many times that his vice president, when he ran for office, he said no new taxes. Why was he saying read my lips, no new taxes? He was saying that because his freaking president raised taxes 11 times in 8 years. He only served one term because of what? Iraq war, he didn't get Saddam Hussein, and 2, he increased taxes when he said he wasn't. Bush, his son, comes in 2000. He deregulates. He gives tax cuts to the rich. And what happened? He deregulated the housing market. And what happened? The housing market crashed. And the housing market never crashed. The housing market was solid. It was the American dream. You couldn't just go out and get a house. You had to put down a 10% down payment. You had to have a perfect credit score. You had to have all this stuff. He went and deregulated, and Pookie on the block can get a freaking home loan and couldn't afford it. That wasn't because of Pookie and his incompetence. It was because they deregulated so that they can target these people. And these people told him, hey, don't worry about it. Your mortgage is going to be tied to the stock market. As long as the stock market keeps increasing, your interest rate for your mortgage is going to go down. But as soon as the stock market starts trickling up, your mortgage rate, excuse me, your mortgage rate is going to trickle up to where people were paying, they started out paying $500 a month for their mortgage, end up paying $3,000 a month for the mortgage. That's not just the fault of the person that bought the house. That's the fault of the bank for giving them the loan. Trickle-down economics does not work. And look, let me go get my kids up because it's 5:49 and they leave the house at 6:30 and nobody is up yet. I think because it's so cold, they they just don't want to get out of the bed, but I'm just going to go snatch the covers off of them. But look, let me get up out of here, people. You guys have a great Monday. Take care of yourselves. I will see you on the next one, all right? All right, I'm out. Y'all take care.